we are readjusting the loads. So we are going to turn the trailer, the engine off, put it on, so you can read the sensors of the air pressure as we are knocking the trailer with a forklift. You are going to see steady decrease in airbag pressure as they are going in and out with the forklift. Can we have a very good demonstration this time to see? This is Gazner, a milk processing factory. Yes, they are moving now in and out of the trailer. The load is too heavy and they are readjusting it or reworking it. I just put the ignition key in the on position, as you can see, not on the ignition position, so you can read the gauges. The gauges are activated, you can read them, but the engine is not. The starter is off and the engine is not. If you look at the RPM, 0. Every time they go in and out with the forklift, the pressure will supposed to drop steadily. Now we're starting here from over 120 psi. That is almost, if you look carefully, it is almost here and here, over 120, 125 psi. When they finish, you will have almost empty airbags. They are taking the entire load out, unloading it and reloading it with lighter pallets. Because this is a rail container, they cannot allow single pallets. They have to have doubles, double, and all the pallets have to be tightened by airbags between them. What you call it, filling airbags. So when the crane lifts the trailer, the container from the chassis, the rocking of the container by the crane, the bouncing in the air, does not make the pallets move. They inflate bags, we call them like 3 psi, no more than that, pound per square inch, between the container, between the pallets and the wall of the trailer. These bags will prevent the pallets from sliding inside the container sideways or back and front. That is the regulation of the company, especially companies that deal with liquid products like milk products. Any kind of liquid products is very easy to bounce them inside the container during transportation, especially when the container is lifted by the crane. I feel the bouncing of the truck. I feel the bouncing, but you don't notice a lot of changes here in the gauges. Because the gauges are not very sensitive. But you can tell the pressure system, the air pressure system is very tight because there is no leak. There is no leak by bouncing. Of course, I can deplete the bags by stepping on the brakes very few times. I can drop the air pressure down to 0 if I wanted to. I'm just trying to see how much change will happen by just bouncing the container by the forklift. You see any change? Little. Little, yeah, there is a change, but very little. It depends on how fast you go with the forklift inside the container. How fast mean how aggressive, like how much impulse or impact on the container. Because the more impact, the more bouncing from side to side. When you bounce the container from side to side, it triggers the levers, the arms of the sensor that is connecting the chassis of the entire beam, the chassis that holds the container with the frame of the axles. That relative bouncing between the axles of the wheels and the chassis that holds the load is what balances the air pressure from one bed to another. And because you have the compressor off, which means you are not supplying any more air to the system, you're just dumping the air to the outside. You can tell now we are very close to 120, 125 psi. It was over. In the top, the P is the primary. In the bottom, the S is the secondary. Now the primary got lost a little bit more than the secondary. Now this bouncing this time is going to bring it to the mark, to the black mark, which is exactly 125. You can tell now there is a slight decrease, slight drop. Or at least you can tell how efficient the system is. Of course, when the pressure, when you have a tractor, when your pressure is bouncing under 100 psi, you just hold your breath because you can run out of air pressure any time while you are backing in a tight spot, spending time to get the trailer in a slot and you have no air pressure. It is very embarrassing because you keep stopping and waiting until you build the pressure, and everybody looking at you, waiting for you to move. The temperature outside is very good, 26 degrees. It's sub-freezing temperature. But outside the air pressure is beautiful. The air temperature is beautiful. Very comfortable weather. This is mountain Logan. The temperature of the water perfectly 175 degrees. That is the optimum operating engine temperature. And the oil temperature, oil pressure, of course, oil is zero because the engine is not running. Did we get any change here? Wow, that's a very tight system. I'm almost have no more patience to watch it. It's very tight system. Then we can leave it now and we'll come back later on and see how much it changed. We are still in the loading dock. You can tell the difference now. The time now is 7:58. The temperature dropped to 26. Now you can tell the air pressure dropped. The primary almost did not drop, 125. The secondary is coming close to 100. So the secondary almost dropped 20 psi. The primary did not. And as you are still bouncing the container, the forklift going in and out. So there is a drop. That is a very clear drop on the secondary, not the primary.